Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Knowledge of Friends. Subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon for the latest update. आज हम लोग वेब टेक्नोलॉजी की क्लास करने वाले हैं। वेब टेक्नोलॉजी की आज की क्लास आपकी 7 है। ऑलरेडी हमने 6 क्लासेस कर लिया है, जिसमें अगर हम बात करते हैं तो हमने यूनिट 1 कंप्लीट कर लिया है एंड यूनिट 2 भी आज की क्लास में कंप्लीट कर लेंगे। एज आई टोल्ड यू, जो भी फर्स्ट टाइम हमारा चैनल देख रहे हैं, यूनिट 2 में हमने उसको पार्ट में डिवाइड किया है। पार्ट 1 जो है वो आपका HTML है, पार्ट 2 जो है वो आपका हमने पूरा CSS कंप्लीट किया है और इसके बाद हमने पार्ट 3 कंप्लीट चुका कि हम कर रहे हैं आज की क्लास में, होपफुली कंप्लीट कर लेंगे। तो वो XML है, XML जो कि हम कर रहे हैं। और यूनिट 3 में वेब पेज डिज़ाइनिंग, दिस इज़ अ वेब पेज डिज़ाइनिंग, दिस इज़ द नेम ऑफ द यूनिट 2 एंड दिस इज़ वी आर कंप्लीटिंग द XML पार्ट इन टुडेज क्लास। एज इन द लास्ट क्लास, क्योंकि मैंने बताया था कि बहुत क्लास लंबी हो जा रही है, तो इस वजह से मैंने उसको बोला था कि आपको थोड़ा सा प्रोग्राम लिखवाया था, उसको मैंने बोला था नेक्स्ट क्लास में कंटिन्यू करेंगे। सो आज की क्लास में हम उसे कंटिन्यू करने वाले हैं। First of all, it's a huge request to all the subscriber. Please go through with the subscribe button and please like, share and subscribe our channel. जिन्होंने अभी तक नहीं किया है, please go through with that. और will continue, और आप प्लीज़ लास्ट क्लास देख लो अगर नहीं देखा है तो, क्योंकि वहाँ से ही हम कंटिन्यू कर रहे हैं। तो अगर आपका अभी यहाँ से ही देखोगे क्लास तो ऑब्वियसली बात आपको नहीं समझ में आएगा। एंड फॉर दैट स्टेप 2 हमने माई function.js से कंप्लीट किया था। उसके बाद मैंने कहा था कि आपको स्टेप 3 करवाऊंगी एंड थोड़ा सा प्रोग्राम स्टेप 2 का भी बचा था। सो वी विल ट्राई फ्रॉम स्टार्टिंग विद दैट ओनली। सो ट्राई XML doc async equals to false. XML doc dot load XML doc name return XML doc, and then close curly bracket, catch E, then we have here that is an alert E dot message, then return null, then close curly bracket. So this is the step 2 we'll end up with, and now we'll start with the step 3 as I told you about it that we have to start with. So here we have, so we'll start with the step 3. In this step 3, that what we have to do is now we will create a simple HTML script which allows the users to enter the roll number whose record needs to be displayed, and the code for this HTML file we will be writing as test.html. Okay, so test.html में start करते हैं हम लिखना. This is doc type HTML public / w3c / dtd x html 1.0 transitional / en http www.w3.org/dr/xhtml1.1.dtd. This is a whole frame that we are doing, in previous class as well. We had done many times. For that, after that, we start with the HTML XLMNS here. So with regard of it, we will go ahead and we will be doing that as well. In the reference towards it, without X, we'll start with HTML XMLNS equals to http www.w3.org/1999/xhtml close. Now we'll go ahead with the head here. Head script type equals to text slash javascript src my function dot js script head closing body script type text slash javascript function fun str start with a curly bracket, then we have xml document equals to my function then student 1.xml close the curly bracket, close the bracket and then apostrophe here, then after that document dot write xml file loaded and following are the contents of this file, then closing that. Now for that we have a value here, we'll be assigning the value. So yes, we'll be assigning that a value, but that's it, we have to do it for it, and that is value equals to xml document dot get elements by tag name, that is your roll number. Now for I equals to 0, we'll put the value. For I equals to 0, I is less than value dot length I plus plus, then start curly bracket if str dot match, is say the value I dot child nodes 0 dot node value, then after that start another curly bracket, then we'll write it down document dot write break document dot write roll number plus xml document dot get elements by tag name, this is your tag name is roll number I dot child node 0 dot node value. For the next one we have here is document dot write yeah, then we have here is document dot write and same we will write it down, but here for with the reference towards the roll number, we will be writing for the sake of name, and after that for the mark 1, and for the mark 2, and for of course mark 3 and mark 4, and of course for mark 5. So we'll just write it down for those. but XML पेज हो गया, and then after that document dot write, यहाँ पे रोल नंबर की जगह पे आ जाएगा नेम, XML document dot get elements by tag name, यहाँ पे रोल नंबर की जगह आ जाएगा नेम, dot child node, that is 0 dot node value. अब नेम के बाद आता है आपका mark 1, so we'll repeat that, document dot write, यहाँ से ब्रेक से करेंगे, so document dot write, यहाँ नेम की जगह पे आ जाएगा mark 1, बाकी सब सेम रहेगा, XML document dot get element by tag name, यहाँ पे नेम की जगह पे आ जाएगा mark 1, dot child node 0 dot node value. Now mark 1 हो गया, अब mark 2 के लिए करेंगे, so we'll do that. For the next one we will be going to have, after that mark 1 we will be going for the mark 2 as I told you. So yes, we will write it down, document dot write br document dot write, यहाँ mark 1 की जगह पे हो जाएगा mark 2 plus XML document dot get element by tag name, तो यहाँ पे mark 1 की जगह पे tag name हो गया आपका mark 2, I, that is dot child node 0 dot node value. Then for the next one we'll go ahead with a document dot write br, so here we'll go ahead with document dot write mark 2 के जगह हो जाएगा mark 3 plus XML document dot get element by tag name, mark 2 की जगह पे हो जाएगा mark 3 I dot child node 0 node value. उसके बाद mark 3 हो गया, mark 4 करेंगे, mark 4 के लिए document dot write br, that is the closing tag. Then after that close the bracket, then document dot write mark, अब mark 3 हो गया यहाँ पे, तो mark 4 के लिए mark 4 XML document dot get element by tag name, mark 4 I dot child node 0 dot node value. Now mark 4 के लिए हो गया. अब आते हैं coming to the mark 5 here. So here we'll go ahead with that. Document dot write br tag close, then document dot write mark 5 plus xml document dot get element by tag name mark 5 I dot child node 0 dot node value. Now coming to this is mark 5 completed, so we'll go ahead after the mark 5. We will go on for the document dot write break, and that is for the total, and of course for the percentage, and then we'll end up with the giving input here. So here we'll go ahead with the document here. So we'll go ahead, document dot write break, then we'll go ahead with the document dot write total plus xml dot document get dot get element by tag name total I dot child node 0 dot node value. Now for the percentage, write it down, document dot write break, so write it down, document dot write percentage plus xml document dot get element by tag name percentage dot child nodes dot node value, then closing all the three tags, write it on var input str equals to prompt. Here we can write it on enter some number, font, input str, then we'll end up with script, close tag and script, then close body tag, close HTML tag. So you will get an XML file loaded, and following are the content of the file. That rule number 5, name Priyanka, marks 45, mark 2 37, mark 3 49, mark 4 41, mark 5 43, and total 215 and percentage 43%. उस तरह से वो आपको रिप्रेजेंटेशन करेगा. This is with the output. You can implement that as well. Now we'll discuss one of the things that is related to the Dom and Sac. So they had asked you about the difference between the Dom and Sac, so that what we will do here in the reference towards it. So the difference between Dom and Sac. So you can just write it down. I will be discussing the four differences between the Dom and Sac. So the first differences for the Dom is a tree-based parsing method used to parse the given XML document, and Sac is event-based parsing method used to parse the given XML document. The second difference we have, in this method the entire XML document is stored in the memory before the actual processing, and hence it requires more memory. For the Sac, in this method the parsing is done by the generation and the sequence of events, or it calls the handler function. The third difference we have is that the DOM approach is useful for the smaller application because it is simpler to use, but it is certainly not used for a larger XML document because it will then require the larger amount of memory as well. For the Sac, the third difference we have is that is, although the Sac development is much more challenging and it is useful for the parsing the large XML document because the approach is event based, so XML get parsed node by node and it does not require large amount of memory. For the DOM, the another one, the traversing is done in any directions in the DOM approach, and for the Sac one, the top to bottom or traversing is done in this approach here. So these were the four advantages, these were the four differences between the DOM and Sac. You can just go through with that, you can just write it down as well. So the another thing that they can ask you, explain the term Sac with a suitable example. As I told you about the four differences between the Sac as well, you can write it down from there as well. And the Sac is an event-based parsing method used to parse the given XML document, and following in the Java program that makes the use of the Sac API for checking the formed nest of the XML document. So that is, in that case, we will just write a sort of a program that you can just go through with that, so that you will be getting it into in it, and you can just understood about it what we are going to say here. So here we'll go through with that, and that you can write it down. Import java.io, import org.xml.sac.abstract, then import org.xml.sac.helpers, then public class parsing.sac demo, public static void main string throws IO exception, then try again, start curly bracket, write it on system.out.print enter the name of XML document, buffered reader input equals to new buffered reader new input stream reader, that is system.in string file name equals to input.read line, then file fp equals to new file name, if fp.exist start in the curly bracket, try another curly bracket. Now with regard of it, xml dot reader equals to xml reader factory dot create xml reader, that is reader dot parse file name. Now for that we will go ahead here, system dot out dot print ln file name plus is well formed catch exception key system dot out dot print ln file name plus is not well formed system dot exist one else system dot out dot print ln file is not present plus file name, close the curly bracket, then catch IO exception ex another curly bracket dot print stack trace, then again close the curly bracket, then again close the curly bracket as well. Okay, so that we will be end up with this. Now we will discuss about this particular program, that what we had write it down here in the regard of it, what you have to be very clear about it when we are talking about this. So in this, that the program here in the above this Java program, the package that org.xml.sac is provide the classes of the interfaces for the sample simple API for the XML Sac, which is a component of API Java API, that is the package org.xml.sac.helper that provide the helper classes for the simple API for the XML, that is Sac, which is a component of Java API for processing the XML and for reading the name of the XML document using the command prompt like buffer reader class is used. And the XML reader factory helps in creating an XML reader. This reader then pass XML document using the appropriate callbacks, and using the create XML reader on object reader is created, using which we can call the method pass for the passing the XML document. And in this in the try box we are calling the method passer for the passing the XML document, and if the XML document is not well formed, then the control of the program will not to be cache blocked. In the term of it, as I told you many times when we started with the XML, so this is very important to know about the XML because this has been asked in the 10 marks question as well. In the XML, as I repeated down, that the XML stands for the extensible markup language. XML is that is a meta markup language as well, and this is a kind of a scripting language which does not make use of any predefined tags. On the other hand, HTML makes use of the predefined tags. XML parsing can be done using the application programming interface API. The DOM API and the Sac API make use of the method in the API which are used to access and manipulate the information stored in the XML or in the HTML document as well. Now we'll discuss about explain the roles of the sacs and the DOMs in the XML document that they had asked you about the 3 marks question. So XML parsing can be done using the application programming interface, that is API, and the DOM API and the SAC API makes use of the method in the API which are used to access and manipulate the information that is stored in the XML or HTML document. In the case of the DOM is a tree-based parsing method that is used to parse the given XML document, and in this method the entire XML document is stored in the memory before the actual processing, and hence it's required more memory as well. In the reference towards the SAC here, that SAC is an event-based parsing method used to parse the given XML document. And this method, the parsing is done by generating the sequence of events, or it can be handle a function. Now in that terms, we'll describe about the mechanism of the DOM and the SAC that parser with its architecture. In the reference towards it, that DOM is a tree-based parsing method used to parse the given XML document, while SAC is an event-based parsing method used to parse the given XML document. And basic steps to parse the XML file using the DOM parser are: the first step is to create a new DOM parser factory with the document build the factory. The object of that factory class is used to invoke the method parse, and then pass the XML file to this parse method to parse the XML file as well. The basic architecture of the DOM parser is as follows: like basic steps to parse the XML file using the SAC parser, as to where we had clear and create the program as well for the DOM session as well, and for the SAC as well. And the first step that to create a SAC parser factory with the XML reader factory, and the second step, the object of the factory class is used to invoke the method parse as well. In this DOM architecture, you have to create an XML file like person's name, ID person, then document builder, and that goes to the document builder, or the DOM document builder factory goes to the DOM document builder, and then it goes to the DOM tree, and then business logic. That is in DOM architecture. And then pass the XML file to the parse method to the parse the XML file. The basic architecture for the SAC parser is to be like XML file has been created, and XML reader factory has to be created. That has to be goes to the SAC parser, and that events has been created, and the document handler, then business logic has been produced. Now we are talking about explain a well-formed that is a well-formed and a valid XML as well. In the regard of it, the well-formed XML document that adheres to the syntax rules specified by the XML. That is, for example, the first is the tags must be properly nested. The second is the name in an element, and tag must match the element type in the start tag. And the third is no attribute name may appear more than the once in the same start tag or an empty tag. And the fourth is non-Dtd XML file must use the predefined character entities for an amp and an apos, that is a single quote, and a GT or ILT, and that is quote double quote as well. An XML document is said to be valid if its content match with the elements and attributes and associated document type declaration like DTD, and if the document complies with the constant expressed in it. Now we'll discuss some of the short answers questions that can be asked in the competition in your question paper. So how to create a command statement in HTML? As I told you about the comments and in HTML can be denoted as like while we writing it is a comment statement, while going through dash dash, and this is a comment statement with a dash dash. This is a comment we can see that dash dash, and then we'll write it down. It is a comment session, and that there should not be the space between the angular bracket and the exclamatory mark, and this comment is beginning with the this exclamatory mark, and then ending with this as well, and there should not be a character such as dash dash inside the comment. And what is the use of the pre-tag in the HTML? So the pre-tag can be used to preserve the white space and the lines and the text as well. The next question that can arise in related to the HTML, CSS and XML, that what is non breaking space character in HTML. So the BPS, this is a non breaking space character, and this entity is useful for defining the space between the two string and informing the browser for not performing the word wrapper between the string. And the next question they can ask you, what is a cell padding and cell spacing attribute? The cell padding allows to have some space between the contents of each cell and its border, and the distance between each cell is called cell spacing. What is the need of using a form in HTML? So form is a typical layout on the web page by which the user can interact with the web page, and the components that can be placed on the form and the text box, check box, and the radio buttons, push buttons, and so on. Thus a form is typically used to create an interactive graphical user interface. Now the next question they can arise, that what is the purpose of using frames in HTML? So you have to be known very clear about it, that the XHTML frames allows the web designer to present the web document in a multiple views, and using multiple views on one can keep the information visible at the same time, and the other view can be scrolled or replaced. And for example, within the same window, one frame can display a company information, and the second frame can be given a navigation menu, and the third frame can be display the selected document that can be scrolled through or replaced or by navigation in the second frame. The next question they can ask you, what is the use of the markup language in the web technology? Give some examples of some markup language. So in the case, the markup language is used to lay out the information on the web page. So various markup language will be your HTML, XHTML, and DHTML, JavaScript. These were the markup language that you can write it down. How will you create a password field in the HTML form? As I had made you write the whole program related to that in the last previous classes. So the password field is typically created in the form of the that following code can be written to create, like form is equals to form1, then password input type, and then passwords closing tag, and then form tagging closing. Then you can create a password as well. Now we will discuss about the explain how an unrecognized element or attribute debited by the HTML document. So if any unrecognized element or the attribute is written, then the HTML document simply displays the content. And for example, the title testing title will display the string that is testing on the web page, and it will not display it as a title of the web page. So is it possible to insert the white space in the web page while writing some paragraph? Yes, we can insert the white space in the paragraph by using the entity reference and an NBSP, as I told you about it, and that is non-breaking character space as well. And that is how do the hyperlinks appear by default. So by default the hyperlink are in unvisited, underlined, and blue as well. And what are the uses of HTML forms? So the HTML forms can be used in the variety of the application, such as the first uses is for creating the registration form, or for creating the login form. That's like third is for gathering the user information, and the fourth is for conducting the survey as well. So if they had asked you about what is the CSS file, so the cascading style is many times defined as a separate file. This file is called as the CSS file, and the CSS file one or more style rules are given. So what are style sheet? And the style sheets are the collections of the styles that can be either embedded within a HTML document or can be externally applied. The cascading style sheet is a markup language used to apply the style to the HTML document. The another question they can ask you, what do you mean by the term rule set? So the styles are defined in the separate file, and the file is called the CSS file. The collection of rule in the CSS file is called the rule set here. And the another question they can ask you, unless the various categories of the properties used in the CSS. So the various category of the properties in the CSS rule, the first is the font. You can just write it on. The first is font, the second is list, the third is alignment of text, the fourth is color, fifth is margin, sixth is background, and seventh is a border. These were the categories of the priority properties of the used in the CSS here. Now, what is the difference between the external style sheet and an embedded style sheet? The external style sheet is a kind of a style sheet in which the styles are defined in a separate CSS file, and this file is mentioned at the beginning on the HTML document. When we need to apply the particular style is to more one web document, then the external style sheet is used, and the embedded style sheet is a method in which the style is specified or embedded within the HTML document itself, and it is not defined in a separate file. Due to the embedded style sheet, the unique style can be applied to all the elements. Now we'll go ahead. If you do not want a repeated background image, then how you will be apply that style. For a repeated background image, for the following step, by you look at body at the background image, that is my image.dpg, and background repeat no repeat, and so that you can put that in a form. Now talking about what do you mean by the term inline element. As I told you, the inline element are those elements that do not form new blocks of content, and the content is distributed in the lines that I had told you in the last जो भी हमने डिस्कस किया है लास्ट क्लासेस में when we are discussing the CSS. So define cascading. Cascading is a collection of rules that the browser use to determine how to use the style information. And what is HTML? So HTML stands for the hyper text markup language, and this is a scripting language for the creating the web page as well. And what is selector? Mention its type. As I told you about the selectors, there are the four selectors. In CSS, the selectors are the pattern used to select the elements for a style. Various types of the selectors are: the first is the universal selector, second is your class selector, third is generic selector, and the fourth is ID selector that we had discussed in a deep in the last classes in CSS. You can gone through with that if you had not gone through with that. What is XML? And the XML stands for extensible markup language, and the XML is designed to transport or to store the data. Next question is, what is the difference between XML and HTML? So the difference between the XML and HTML is that the HTML is a design for the representation of data on the web page, whereas XML is designed to transport, to store the data, and HTML has its predefined tags, whereas the XML does not have predefined tags. Now, what are the goals of the XML? So following are the goals. The first goal is user must be able to define and use his own tag. This allows us to restrict the use of the set of the tags defined by the property or vendors. Second is allow user to build his own tag library based on the web requirement. The third goal is that allow user to define the formatting the rules for the user defined tags. And the fourth goal is that XML must support for the storage and the transport of the data. Now we'll go through with another one, that is discuss two important feature of XML which makes it more suitable for creating the web related services. For the following some features, which are most suitable for the creating the web related application is that XML is extensible markup language intended for the transport or the storage of the data. The most important feature of the XML is to the user is to be able to define and use his own tag, and this allows to restrict the use of the set of the tags defined by the property or vendors. And on the other hand, the other markup language like HTML, SGML requires a predefined set of tags as well. So now, as I told you about what is CD data, that is the C data stands for the character data, and the character data will be the passed by the parser. And what is PC data? It stands for the passed character data, that is text. Any passed character data should be not contain the markup language, and the markup language that is the greater than, less than, or and. If we want to use less than, greater than, or ampersand character, then make use of and it, then and gt or the and amp as well. Why Dtd are used? The document type definition is used to define the basic building blocks of an XML document, and using the Dtd we can specify the various element types, attributes, and their relationship between with one another. And basically Dtd is used to specify the set of the rules for the structuring the data in an XML file as well. For example, if you want to put some information about some students in the XML file, then generally we use the tag student followed by his or her name, address, standard, and marks, and that means we are actually specifying the manner by which the information should be arranged in the XML file. And for this purpose, a document type definition is used. What is the purpose of XML schema? The XML schema are used to represent the structure of the XML document, and the purpose of the XML schema is to define the building block of an XML document. So now we'll discuss what is the use of the XML DOM and XML DOM. That is, the first is loading the XML document. The second is that accessing the elements of the XML document. The third is to deleting the elements of the XML document, and the fourth is that changing the element of the XML document as well. Next we'll discuss about the next question, that is what are the two, that is the next and the last question as well. Now, what are the two methods to for the parsing of the XML document? That the XML document is parsed using the two approaches. The first is the tree based and the second is the event based. The tree based parsing is done using the DOM, and the event based is parsing done by using the Sac. So now we'll end up with the class. First of all, it's a huge request to all the subscriber, please go through with the subscribe button, and please like, share, and subscribe our channel so that many and maximum people can get the information at once, and even though you can also enjoy the video as well. In the term of the web technology, if I'm talking about, we had completed unit 1, where we had discussed about the introduction, that is the introduction and the web development strategies, history and of web and internet, that is a protocol governing web, writing web policies, projects connecting to the internet, introduction to the internet start services and tools, introduction to the client server computing, and core Java, introduction, operator, data types, variables, array, method and classes, inheritance, package and interfaces, exception handling, multi-thread programming, input-output Java, applet, string handling, and then event handling, introduction to AWT and AWT controls, layout manager as well. In the unit 2, that we had completed web page designing, the HTML list, table, images, frames, forms, CSS, document and type definition, XML, Dtd, XML schemas, object models, presenting and using the XML, using the XML processor, Dom and Sac, dynamic HTML, that we had completed unit 2 here. यूनिट 3 में हम जो नेक्स्ट क्लास में करेंगे स्क्रिप्टिंग के बारे में, दैट इज जावा स्क्रिप्ट, इंट्रोडक्शन, डॉक्यूमेंट, फॉर्म्स, स्टेटमेंट एंड फंक्शन, ऑब्जेक्ट्स, इंट्रोडक्शन टू एजाक्स, नेटवर्किंग जो कि यूनिट 3 का ही पार्ट है, इंटरनेट एड्रेसिंग, एड्रेस, फैक्ट्री मेथड, इंस्टेंस मेथड, टीसीपी आईपी, क्लाइंट सॉकेट, यूआरएल कनेक्शन, टीसीपी आईपी सर्वर सॉकेट एंड डेटाग्राम. यूनिट 4 में हम इंटरप्राइज जावा बीन में करेंगे, प्रिपेयरिंग अ क्लास टू बी जावा बीन and creating a Java bean properties, types of beans, stateful session beans, stateless session beans, and the entity beans as well. Java database connectivity, merging data from the multiple tables, that will do in that, joining, manipulating the database with the JDBC, prepared statements, transactions, processing, stored procedures as well. In the unit 5, we'll discuss about the servlets, that is servlets overview and the architecture, interface servlets and the servlet life cycle, handling HTTP GET requests, handling HTTP POST requests, that is redirecting requests to the other resources, session tracking, cookies, session tracking with the HTTP session as well. Then after that, we'll discuss the Java server page, that is JSP, that is introduction, Java server pages overview of first Java server page example, implicit objects, scripting, standard action, directories, and of course the custom tag libraries that we'll discuss in the next coming classes. First of all, it's a huge request to all the subscriber, please go through with the subscribe button and please like, share and subscribe our channel so that many and maximum people can get the information at once, and even though you can also enjoy the video as well. And please like and share and support us because your support is very important. Thank you.